Hello everyone, my name is Baconator6624 and I'm here to teach you something about jets. Jets in Battlefield Play4Free, that is. English isn't my first language, so I hope you won't be too annoyed by my accent, but you know, let's go have a good time. Okay, so let's start at the basics. In a jet you will find your weapons at the bottom of the screen just like usual. On the left are your heat-seeking missiles and your bombs. You can't use these two weapons at the same time, you have to toggle between them. The standard key for switching between these weapons is B, but if you are like me and you're using a joystick, you can also map your keys somewhere else, just like I did. To fire your missiles and your bombs, press mouse button 2. I mapped it to this button on my joystick. Next is the machine gun. This is your primary weapon, you're going to use this weapon the most. I mapped the machine gun to the trigger on my joystick, but the standard key to fire a machine gun is mouse 1. Then there are the flares. You're going to use these to evade incoming missiles. When you're in a jet, you're going to want to know what's going on around you at all times. To get a view over the hood of your jet, press F. To get a third-person view, press C. I don't use the third-person view very often because I find it inconvenient. In the bottom right corner you will find your ammo counter. On the left is the amount of missiles and bombs you have left, and on the right is the ammo for your machine gun. Once you run out of ammo, it will take a while for you to recharge your guns. The hell bar is above your ammunition. If you're low on ammo, your jet will warn you with this bleeping noise. Once this number gets below a certain point, you have to hurry back to your base to repair. Because if you don't, you're gonna explode. To repair, you just fly over your own airstrip. Some people like to slow down or hover a bit above their own base, but I just like to make a few passes around the airstrip. When you see this red X, it means that somebody's trying to get a missile lock on you. When the tone becomes steady, it means they have succeeded. Some other things you might want to keep an eye on are your compass, your speed and your altitude. You glance at your minimap occasionally. If an enemy vehicle gets spotted near you, it will show up in there. There are two different kinds of jets in the game. The USA has the F-35 and the Russians have the MiG. The only difference between these that you need to worry about is that the F-35 can take off vertically. This is gonna come in very handy when somebody parks right in front of you. Try holding E while you're waiting for a jet to spawn together with a lot of other people. Then when it spawns you'll be in it instantly. But when you're waiting for a jet to spawn, make sure there aren't already two jets in the air. But don't be a base camper, because you know, I'll link up you off the carrier. For the rest of the basic stuff, I encourage you to go and check out Johnny Snake's jet guide in the forums. Especially the section on one button spotting. Spotting is something that is very important, and a lot of Battlefield players don't even know what it is. Okay, so now for the good stuff. Let's talk about some tactics. In the guide it says that your first attack priority should be the jets. Well, it all depends on how you fly, but in my book, that's just wrong. Most of the pilots aren't good enough to be a real threat as long as you know what you're doing. Sure, there are some players out there that are pretty dangerous, but more about jets versus jets later. Your biggest priority should be the AA guns, anti-aircraft. Even though AA guns are the biggest threat to you, they aren't as overpowered as many people like you to believe. You can dodge almost any missile by turning in the opposite direction at the right time. And at full health it even takes 2 of those rockets to take you out. And if you do it right, you can take out the AA in one run. So watch those bases with AA. You can tell what AAs are taken by looking at your map. Those with the AA icons on them are not taken. If there is no icon on it, it means that it's either in use or that it has been destroyed. The thing you're going to do the most in a jet is bombing. I found that the best way of bombing is by going up real high and by coming down on your target completely vertical. This tactic is named the snake bite. I like to go up to 315 altitude before I'm making the loop. If you go up to this altitude, you should be out of range of most AAs, and enemy jets mostly won't even chase you into the sky. And even if they do, they could get lost and lose control over the jet. If you time it right, your bombs will recharge every other loop. You should also use a machine gun every loop, and once you get close to the ground you can even do some serious damage by just shooting your missiles unguided into your targets. This way, you should be able to get a great amount of kills in a relatively short time. But before you can do any of that, you need to find out where your enemies are. You can find out by doing MG strafing. You do this by shooting random places on your map where you suspect enemies to be. Even though the snakebite will ward off less experienced pilots, you might still want to take out a jet once in a while. Destroying an enemy jet will give you a great amount of points, but more importantly, it will protect your team. If you don't like the idea of keeping an eye out for your team, you're probably better off playing Call of Duty. The best way to get rid of a jet is by only using your machine gun in bombing mode. In bombing mode, you won't alarm your target of your presence. In the beginning, it can be tricky to hit your targets, but after a bit of practicing, you'll find that it goes almost naturally. If you know in advance you're going to be in pursuit of a jet, you should empty out all of your ammo so that it will be fully recharged before you engage. If you do happen to run out of machine gun ammo, you can also use some missiles. Go into missile mode and wait for the target to drop his flares. wait some more and then fire. If you miss, just make another pass and your machine gun will be recharged. So we talked about taking out ground targets, jets, and next up are the helicopters. I normally don't go for helicopters because they don't go well in my snakebite scheme. But if I do have to take one out, I try to do it horizontally. Empty up your machine gun on them and then finish them off with heat-seeking missiles. Missiles work better on the choppers than on jets because they can't dodge them without flares. You can get a lot of damage points from choppers and sometimes you can even rack up nice multi-kills because there was more than one player in the chopper. But remember, you're not the only predator out there. There are going to be times where you're going to be hunted instead of being the hunter. There are two things you can do once you know you've got missiles or a jet on your tail. You can go up real high or you can go down real low. When you're flying low, you can use the scenery to make whatever is following you fly into it. But watch out, when you're low, engineers might be able to take you out with the rockets. If you fly up, don't fly completely vertical. Zigzag a little bit or fly with a curve. Missiles and jets will lose track of you in the sky and some pilots will even lose track of what's up and down. While flying, it's important to get creative. If you fly different than everybody else, players cannot predict your moves. This was my video on how to be a good pilot in Battlefield Play4Free. If you have anything to add to my tactics, please leave a comment down below. This is Baconator6624 and I'll see you next time.